I'm MythPony, and I'm going to be showing you how I draw my comic within. By the way, a little post-recording note, please bear with me through my morning voice and scattered thoughts. These pages take a lot of time, and you can't draw all day if you don't get started in the morning. So I hope you enjoy. So anyone who's been following me for a while may know that I draw within 2 pages at a time. That's why I have these 2 rectangles here. As you can see, they perfectly fit the size of the middle of the within page inside these borders. So I know that when I'm sketching over these, that it will fit my comic page perfectly. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I arrange these folders to work with my comic drawing process. Now, the one I just showed you is on the bottom. It's the 2 pages perfectly sized out. Those always stay there, exactly the same, this never changes. It's also the exact same thing, but slightly darker up above, and you'll see why later. Now, I arrange. This is how it works for me, because this is just how I draw. I think it works about the same for anyone else. And just background. Well, let's go to the top. Sketch, because I like the sketch being on top of what I'm drawing, so I draw behind it instead of drawing over my sketch where I'll obscure things from my vision. Under that is lines, of course. Under that is colors to fill in under the outlines. And then backgrounds, which go behind everything. And when I'm actually drawing, I will usually do the sketch first, then backgrounds, then line and color. This doesn't go in order, and you'll see why later, why it makes more sense to me. Now, now lately, well, by lately I mean for the last year or so, I've gotten in this habit of sketching on this notebook paper, these steno pads, and getting just a very basic. You can see over here, there's not a lot of detail. It's mainly just words and circles and horns. Getting this very basic staging down for my pages on paper, and then just putting the photos onto my computer and like copying over it and making it more detailed, because I work a full-time job, and while I'm there, like on my breaks, I have time to doodle a couple pages, which I don't know why, but for me, it goes so much faster doing this staging when I can doodle on paper as opposed to digital. So as you can see, I've got 6 pages here. We're just going to be focusing on this one, so I'm going to pull it down into Sketch. In Sketch, let's close that. In Sketch, I have these 3 layers, and what I use them for is basically this is for backgrounds and cutting where the panels are going to be. The middle one is for drawing the characters, and the top one is for writing over all the text where it's going to be, so that then I can move the text and the characters and the background separately when I need to adjust the sketch and kind of space it out. Now I'm going to do a little of that in real time, and then I'm going to do a little of that in real time. Then I'm going to move you up here to just watch the rest of it in like a speed tank kind of format. Okay, first I'm going to select the text layer and go over this and write in the text so it's much more clear and I can't lose track of what's being said. Sometimes this takes a while because honestly, the pictures aren't great, my handwriting isn't great, so it takes a little while just to translate what I have written here. And I might actually have to go and grab the physical book to look at the page and figure this out. Okay, not too much dialogue on these pages. Anyone who reads the comic knows that some pages are just absolutely packed, and I have to translate all that chicken scratch so I can read it digitally. Okay. Now I'm going to take my brush tool. Looks like this. You can do light lines, you can do heavy lines. It's versatile, depending on the pressure. I like using it for sketching. I'm going to sketch on the pony and background layers. Actually, I'm going to sketch on the background layer first, because this first panel is almost entirely background. Well, that's basically it. I just did a quick trace over of the simple sketch that was on the paper page. Now I've got what I'm gonna work with, what the characters are. I would do some more edits, but I think this is kind of fine. I can work with this as it is. And we'll come back to this when I'm ready to do the background. Until then, I'll just switch you over to the speed paint mode so you can watch both pages happen. Okay, something interrupted the recording, but as you can see, I've finished the sketch here over on top of the notebook page, so if I just remove that, now you can see the sketching is a lot more clear and you can tell what's going on easier. And that is what I want when I'm making digital pages. Now clearly some details have been left off, like Marina and Nautilus, their hair. I haven't perfectly committed to memory, so I didn't want to stop the quick sketching just to get those details perfect. Because I knew, and also like the girls were wearing clothing and carrying bags, and I don't have all that perfectly committed to memory. So that's the kind of thing that once I got the quick sketch done with, I would come back in, look at their reference sheets, and look at previous pages, and make sure that I had added correctly onto the page. And right at this moment, in real time, I am going to go take a break, because even though this video has only lasted about 8 minutes, I've already been drawing for about 2 hours now. These take a lot more time than it looks like. Also, it took well over an hour to sketch and stage the original pencil sketches, so we're currently up to 3 hours on these 2 pages, and all we have is incomplete sketching. I cannot overstate, comics take a lot of time and effort to draw. Okay, my break is over, let's get back to it. Okay, now the sketching phase is nearly over. I just have to double check that all of my basically that the text and the characters and the background all fit nicely in the panels. So we don't have anything like any examples of text overlapping on a character or something like that. So I'm going to very quickly just shift a few things around if they need it. So that's basically adjusting the dialogue. I made sure everything fits. I added a couple more last minute details I hadn't noticed yet. That's about it for the sketching. The next step is to come down to the background layer I added. Now remember earlier, we have these rectangles that are the correct size and shape for our pages. The darker layer on top of them. In the background folder, I copied and pasted the basic page again, because what we're going to do is we're just going to erase lines in this. Well, let me explain before I actually do it. We're just going to erase some lines, and that is how we make the lines between our panels. So if you'll remember, the entire finished page is going to be put on this border here. And because those lines are actually empty and transparent, the black lines you see are actually a background behind all of the panels. So the reason we have this slightly darker version is so that we can see where all of those panel lines are going to go. And I usually just make vertical and horizontal lines for the panels because it's easy. If I really wanted, a few times I've made custom lines and just either left those as black lines or cut them into the pages the way I do this. If I really want to do that, I can, but for the most part, the horizontal and vertical will do the job. So now we see basically what the next two pages are going to look like. All of the sketching is done. I have scenery added in. The panels are cut. I believe this is about it for this video. In the next ones, I'm going to explain how, after sketching, I do the backgrounds. Then I put the characters' line art and colors on top of the backgrounds just to make sure. I'll go more in depth with this later, but basically I do the backgrounds first so that I know my characters won't be in odd positions and I'll have to draw the background warped. It'll make more sense in the next video, so please check it out. I'll catch you next time.